Hello, welcome back to another episode. This is Nyoka,
This is Rachel.
and we are
Operation Evil.
Oh my gosh, we're doing so good.
So dramatic.
So good. Oh my god. Anyways, welcome. Another weekly episode for you. This week we're going to cover
Tribute to society.
Yes. This week is not going to be about murder. No.
It is about evil, though.
It is about evil. And that's in our name. Operation Evil. Tell your friends. Anyway.
What do you got us about today?
Well, today I have a story about an 11-year-old blonde-haired pretty girl who was thinking about Barbies and not boys yet and field trips and stuff.
Going to school.
Riding bikes, having friends, being nervous. But let me tell you, on the morning of June 10th, 1991, this little girl, her life will change. So on that day, 11-year-old JC Dugard was getting ready for school and thinking about a field trip that was coming up. You see, JC was a little bit shy, but she was excited about the field trip and a little nervous because she was still making friends and, she's a little kid.
Mm-hmm.
She's getting used to things.
Critical age there.
Yeah, absolutely. That morning, though, was a little different because JC's mother, her name's Terry, she went into work early that day. So because her mom decided to go into work early, JC was to walk out the door and go to the school bus stop on her own, which really, if you think about it, is pretty normal. We live in a small town and we don't have school buses. And my daughter at that age was walking to and from school. I don't know what things were like with you. I had a school bus when I was growing up, but around here, the kids walk. It's totally normal.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what JC was doing that day. I would not say that this was like a weird thing to do. I think it's a very common thing to do.
And then, with both parents having to work or
you're just doing your best.
Schedules. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Now, JC was halfway up the hill to the bus stop when a silver gray car stops her. And she thought, this man, he must need directions or something. So, as she was expecting that to be the case, he pulled out a stun gun and decided to electrocute JC into unconsciousness. And they pulled her into the car. And that allowed his wife to hold her down, which is terrifying.
Yes.
So as JC was in and out of consciousness, she was pleading with her captors to release her. And she tried to say, look, my parents, they don't have enough money to pay a ransom. Please let me go. None of this was working, though. Meanwhile, as this happened, JC's stepfather, Carl, saw the abduction. He witnessed it through the home's garage window.
Could you imagine?
Oh, no. There's no way. He does the best that he could think in that moment, and he jumps on a mountain bike and goes chasing after the car. But of course, there's no way he's going to catch up to a car. So the car speeds off. He couldn't. He did his best.
And it sounds like the house was offset down a long driveway.
Yes, it does sound that way. And so he was able to witness everything, and the cops quickly dismissed him as a person of interest or anything in this. So back to the abduction. So she's in the car. She's begging, please let me go.
Mhm.
They do not. They take her to their property where they put a blanket over her head and they hurried her into this. I don't know if you want to call it a shed or like a storage unit, but they hurried her in here, and this building was soundproof. So she could scream all she wants and nobody's knowing she's there. When they got her inside there, that's when her captor, Philip, raped her for the first of many, many, many times to come. Little did she know that this was the first day of her 18 plus years in captivity. JC was born on May 3rd, 1980 in Arcadia, California. That's pretty amazing because now that I know her birth year, she is very close to our age.
Yeah, she's right in between.
Yeah, she's right in between our ages. So this is somebody, this could have been us.
Mm-hmm.
This could have been a girl we went to school with, if you think of it that way.
Yeah.
When she was 10, her mother, Terry, and her stepfather, Carl, and her infant sister, Shayna, they moved from Arcadia to Myers, California, because they believed that it was a safer community for the girls to grow up in. And it's so sad to think that a year into this move, if that
this happens,
that this abduction happens. So it was not a safer place in their case. JC's captors, Philip Greg Garado is how you pronounce his last name, and his wife Nancy. From the first day, actually the first minutes of her abduction, Philip would tell her that he had like Doberman pinchers outside of the I'm just going to call it a storage unit. He had it outside of the storage unit, and if she tried to escape, they would attack her.
So
he scared her.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he drilled this fear that if I try, these dogs are waiting for me and they're going to get me, what have you. As time went on, he would even suggest that over time that her family's not looking for her anymore, and just try to make her, I guess, forget where she came from. Philip would come in and visit JC quite often, and he would bring her fast food. He would talk to her. He allowed her to have a small television, but she could not watch the news on it. Just to be clear. She had no idea how much was being done in her search, how much her parents were pleading for her return. She had no idea of any of this was taking place. He also was so very kind to give her a nice, shiny, crappy bucket to use the bathroom in.
Wonderful.
Great. So after 2 months of this, I guess she was good. I guess she was on good behavior because they moved her next door into a larger storage unit. Philip would come in and he would rape her quite often. Nancy didn't come around, I would say, I think it was the first 6 months of her captivity. Even though she had met her in the car and helped abduct her, she wasn't formally introduced yet.
So it was more him.
Yes, he was doing everything. Feeding her, talking to her, raping her, while Nancy's inside playing housewife, I guess. Both of them, though, were very unpredictable. Their behavior was up and down, but a lot of it had to do with Philip was into methamphetamine, and he would go on these binges that he would call runs, and his moods would shift. So one minute he's crying to JC and apologizing for her abduction and everything he's doing to her. And then in the next second, he's threatening to sex traffic her. So
Was the whole idea, like, did they want a child, or?
they never said. I think he was just a straight up pervert.
Like, it was in his bones.
Yeah. He was just a pedophile. And I guess Nancy, to make him happy, went along with it.
Mm-hmm.
So his behavior was up and down. She didn't know what kind of mood he was going to be in, if he was going to be high that day or not. And then you have Nancy. Nancy, 1 minute, she would shift between like a maternal kind of person towards JC to straight up cold, no emotion towards her. So with both of them, I mean, she just didn't know what person she was getting with either one from day to day. Now, the one thing that helped JC a lot was journaling. And I read about this in her book. I think it was called A Stolen Life. I would recommend that as a read. It was very good. She was very detailed in her day-to-day and her captivity and what she did to get through the day. But she would write in her journal, and she would write about her family, and she wondered like what they were doing at that moment, if they were still looking for her. She would document her feelings. She would feel depression, fear, loneliness, just unloved, all the worst things you can feel as a child.
I imagine she felt every single emotion that there is to feel.
Yeah. And I mean, as an 11-year-old and being raped,
oh my gosh, and not understanding.
Yeah, you don't even know what's going on. That had to be quite traumatic, definitely. It would be for anyone, but especially for an 11-year-old child.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to fast forward 3 years into her captivity. Philip and Nancy, they believe JC was pregnant. Now, up until this moment, they always gave her fast food every day. They fed her fast food. But now that they think she's pregnant, they offered her home-cooked food for the first time. At 13 years old, JC gave birth to her daughter, Angel, on August 18th, 1994. She would also go on to have a second daughter, Starlet, on November 13th, 1997, which I guess would put her at 16. Yeah, 16. So if you think about it this way, my junior year, she would have already had 2 kids. And we weren't even out of high school yet.
Well, I graduated in 1997. So I graduated high school, and she's got 2 kids at that point.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. That's scary. JC did the best considering. I mean, she was a child herself, but she did her best to protect and teach her children the best of her ability, which she didn't have much education, but she also used information from the television to teach them. But at some point, as they were growing up, Philip forced JC to stop referring to them as her daughters and vice versa. So they wanted Nancy to be called mother and JC to now be referred to as their older sister. And this was just to satisfy Nancy because Nancy had this sick jealousy over JC, which I just don't understand.
She's worse than he is.
It's awful. So let's talk about these evil people. Paul Greg Grotto. Is that how you say it? Am I saying it wrong? Grotto.
But does it matter?
No, I guess it really doesn't matter. Anyways, Paul the scumbag.
There we go.
Was born in Pittsburgh, California on April 5th, 1951. He was a career criminal. Not just a criminal, a career criminal. He had high goals here. What a scumbag.
The best of the best.
His first offense was in 1972. This was 3 years after he graduated high school. Man, it must be nice that he graduated high school, huh?
Yeah. That he had that honor of being able to do so.
Yeah. So 3 years after graduating, his crime was sexual assault. I'm shocked. Are you? Sexual assault against a 14-year-old.
Don't know what to say. I'm
stunned. However, nothing happened to him because the charges were dropped when the victim declined to testify, which I'm sure was a common thing back in the 70s for women just to not testify at all because, I mean, we didn't really have much of a voice back then, I don't think.
The education about it and the...
Yeah.
Just being scared.
Yeah, exactly. A year later, in 1973, he married a former classmate. What a lucky girl. She was going to have a gem on her hands. But guess what? She accused him of being abusive.
What?
I know. Shocking. And you know what? She also claimed that he kidnapped her when she attempted to leave him. Can you believe that? I don't know. I mean, this just seems very shocking. I mean, who would have ever
This is factual.
This is real life. In 1976, he abducted 25-year-old Catherine Calloway, whom he raped for 5.5 hours, ladies and gentlemen. 5.5 hours of raping this girl. When she was able to leave, she got help, and he was captured, like, immediately. So on March 9th, 1977, he was convicted and sentenced to 50 years in federal prison.
Why isn't he still there? Or why wasn't he?
Yeah. And not only just the 50 years in federal prison for kidnapping, but another 5 years to life on state charges for sexual assault. So during this time, when he was in prison, he met his lovely wife, Nancy, who was the niece of a fellow inmate. They locked eyes, they fell in love, and they got married in 1981.
So I guess she was there to visit someone, and then...
Yeah. And
true love happens.
Anywhere. When it's true, it's true. When it's love, it's love. So Philip had spent only... You're going to get mad at this. Okay. So he was sentenced, a total of 55 years?
Mm-hmm.
He only spent 11 years.
Out on good behavior? Like what?
This man, I don't know how he did it, but he was released and put on parole in 1988, and they even put an ankle
They should
monitor.
Have put an anchor.
They should have put an anchor. So they put that on him, but they weren't even actively watching it. So he did whatever he wanted.
I wonder how long he had that monitor on.
That's a good question, because he was still on parole when all this was going down. So here it is, 3 years after his release, which he shouldn't have been released, but anyway, 3 years, that's when he abducts JC. When you look at his property, she's hidden from view. And, okay, his backyard features 2 lovely sheds / storage units, whatever you want to call it, 2 tents, an outhouse, and a shower. This secret compound was so concealed that it was overlooked.
Was it like a secret, skanky, nasty city?
I don't know, but however he hid these things, he did it so well that the police didn't even see it the first time.
I remember seeing like pictures of blue tarps.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the police, right? They would come to his house.
Yeah, because they would check in on him for parole and be on their way. That was it.
Yeah, I don't think there was ever actually any coming in. It
Even
was
if
just
they
at the door.
did, even if they did come in, they weren't finding anything. So, because of the compound. So here he's got a girl abducted in the backyard the whole time. And poor
Would have been
thing.
like, you need to clean up your nasty backyard.
Where's code enforcement when you need them?
I know.
Just kidding.
I'm reporting you.
I'm reporting you. So you might be wondering, how did he get caught? Because she was held captive for over 18 years. Well, on August 24th, 2009, at this time, Philip's kids, JC's kids, they were new tweens, teens, and they were with him when he decided to stop by a campus. It was the campus of UC Berkeley, where he inquired about holding events there for his religious organization. Because he's been teaching the girls at home, they're doing their own thing. They're not going to a church. He's just bringing it to them. Lisa Campbell, she was one of the campus staff members, and she told him to return the next day. She had this really suspicious feeling about him. She said that his kids, yeah, they looked healthy, yeah, they looked cared for, but the way they were was kind of concerning because they were very like withdrawn, and seemed really fearful of Philip.
Was JC there with them?
No, just the girls and him. So she asked the police to do like a background check on him before he would come back the next day, and it came back showing that he was a registered sex offender, and his parole officer was then contacted. Now, throughout his parole, he maintained that he was childless. When the parole officer learned that 2 children were with him that day at the campus, they ordered a parole meeting for him to attend. So Nancy, JC, and both girls were with him at the parole meeting, and he insisted that the girls were relatives, but eventually cracked under the pressure. Philip and Nancy were later arrested and charged with 29 felony counts, and including rape and false imprisonment. When they raided his home, you will not believe what they discovered. They discovered that silver grayish car that he used to abduct JC in. He still had that on his property.
Genius.
Yeah. So Philip is currently serving 431 years to life in prison right now. Let's hope he doesn't get out in 5.
Yeah.
Sorry, this time my glasses hit the microphone. Nancy is serving 36 years to life, and they're both eligible for parole in 2034, and both are being held in separate prisons.
I wonder if that idiot was thinking, like, that the girls were getting older and that it was going to be harder to keep them hidden.
I don't know. You know what I just realized, too? When I was describing him, I didn't call him Philip. I called him Paul before. Why did I do that?
Because his name doesn't matter?
I mean...
did he have, like... Was it, like, a nickname or something?
No, I just wrote down Paul. Why do I do this? I did this on the last episode, too. I said somebody's name wrong. Anyway, Philip. Not Paul. Philip. All right.
Paul.
Philip Paul. One of these days, I'm going to get the names right. On August 26, 2009, JC was finally reunited with her mother. And the family Actually, they sued the state of California on account of the numerous lapses by law enforcement to contribute to JC's continued captivity and sexual assault. And in 2010, the state of California awarded the family $20 million. $20 million.
We need a round of applause.
So, where is JC now? Well, I'm glad you asked. She's doing great. She's done many things since then. She got to see the pyramids in Belize. She went on a hot air balloon ride. She learned how to drive from her younger sister. She swam with dolphins. She's wrote 2 books, and I know at least one of them was a bestseller. I would say she's doing great. I mean, are they scarred? Yes, and they are in therapy. And they will probably always be.
But JC's telling her story and really believe she's helping other people.
Yes, definitely. And if you're interested to know more details of the story, because this is one of those stories that you could probably do a whole series on, because she was held captive for so long. But I would definitely recommend reading her book, learning about her day-to-day. She described her sexual assault. She described having to use the bathroom in a bucket. She described thinking about her parents and her journaling and how she felt, and the small TV that gave her just a little bit of relief, and how lonely she was. All of these things. Now, I will say, people will ask if the movie The Room was about JC's story. It was not. I could see how people would think that, though. If you haven't seen The Room, it's a girl gets abducted, and she's also put into a storage unit / shed that's soundproof, and she's held there for a very long time, and she's also sexually assaulted. She's also has a child out of this.
And it's nice because they kind of show the aftermath of, when she's reunited with her family and things like that.
So I could definitely see some similarities as far as that goes. If you have not watched it, I mean, I would recommend it. Would you?
Definitely.
It was very heartwarming.
Yeah, just be warned, it's not
it's heavy.
Right. Yeah.
It really is. Yeah. It's tough to watch. But I was impressed with just how good she did as what I would picture JC doing as a mom in that situation.
Yeah. Teaching her kids how to write.
Yeah. Trying to create a normal environment in an abnormal place.
Mm-hmm.
That would be, I don't know. She did something very special with that. And definitely check that out. So the book and the movie. Also, if you're interested in stories like this, the Elizabeth Smart story is very similar to this. Also wild, also books out there. I know that JC's done interviews.
From Dateline to 2020.
Yeah, she's done a ton. So you can always check that out too. But that's the story of JC Dugard. And we are still open for suggestions. Thank you guys for continuing to let us know what you're wanting to hear. If there's a certain story that maybe other podcasts you listen to haven't told it, give it to us. I'm sure. I mean, we'll look at it. We'll do it. Let us know. And do we have any other business? I don't think we do. Just that we are going to be putting these out every Monday.
Maintain a regular schedule.
Yeah. Sorry today was late, but it is still going to be on Monday. So at least there's that.
Oh, and actually too, though, do you want more about the evil person? More of a story about him? Do you like the survivor stories?
Yes. Let us know what you like. Or, you can keep doing all the murder stuff, which is cool too. Whatever you want to do. Anyways, thanks for joining us again. And we'll be back with another fantastical episode next week. Again, I'm Nyoka.
I'm Rachel.
And we are
Operation Evil.